Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to another DM request video. We're on the final stretch of all the DM requests right now. 2 more videos of DM requests, then I'm going to be moving on to the form, which you can find linked in the description down below. First up, we got Real Smooth by D for Die, using Smooth Criminal. I've got the music on very quiet, just in case it gets copyrighted, but we've got a pretty nice, glowy, atmospheric sort of style going on right here. Pretty cool design so far. Transition was a little bit empty there, but I'm enjoying this. Some pretty decent gameplay. Music sync. Pulses are pretty nice too. I was expecting a game mode switch there instead of just using the ball, but this is pretty nice. Pretty samey so far. I wish I had a bit more progression, you know, a bit more experimental style later on, but this gameplay is very fun, very easy to read. I think the white might be a little bit too prevalent. There could be a bit more experimentation with the colours. The whole levels look the same so far, but it looks pretty nice, and these parts are lasting quite long. That's the other complaint I have. Here we go. It's an okay transition, has something to fill at least. It's pretty nice. I'm going to send this. As the title of the level suggests, that was Real Smooth. I'm going to send this for a 5-star feature. Going to beat it as well, just to make sure. But I do think everything's very sleek. It's got some nice movement, some nice pulses. You know, there could be a bit more experimentation with the style, since it's quite repetitive in that sense. And it does rely on, like, a bright colour for a lot of the time. Like, there's a lot of white or, like, pulse down white, like the grey-ish sort of look it's got. Ooh, that wasn't a level bug, that was just me playing the gameplay wrong, I'm sure of it. I like starting a video off with this end, it makes me very happy. Now we've got Zenon by Creator RM using the Fat Rat Xenogenesis. Gonna turn the music up slightly, although this song is copyrighted again, I'm pretty sure. Quite smooth. Not sure about these light shafts, they kind of just obscure the block design a little bit, but I get what they're going for. I'm not sure if they're using blending or not, but I think they could be layered a bit better to fit in nicely. This is pretty nice, to be honest. Pretty sure I've seen this level before, but it's looking pretty sleek. It's got a pretty nice background, although it is quite basic, you know. It's a quite classic city sort of background. It's nothing really new, but I'm kind of liking the designs. They're a little bit basic, you know. They're kind of relying on this two-tone sort of block design, how they have one block on the top that's a lighter colour, then the blocks underneath are darker, but yeah, I appreciate the vibes that this has got going on. Decent movement attempts too. The hue could be experimented with a little bit. I feel like the colour blue is a little bit repetitive, and it does end on the drop, which is quite annoying. I would have liked to see a bit more progression, but there was quite an experimental style going on. You're kind of mashing the art and the block design together. You know, it's not just a regular basic sort of bland block design you've got going on. You've got some actual designs here. And there's been an attempt to link it into the background, sort of fusing it in with those light shafts that we saw earlier. Wish the gameplay was a bit less linear. I'm just kind of cruising through the middle at all times. But the wave kind of makes up for that, how you have to go quite far down at times. Although this transition is a bit short. As you can see, I died at 71 because of that. But I still feel like the gameplay is very fair. It's a little bit boring, but I do appreciate the atmosphere it's got going on. The gameplay could have a bit more diversity to it instead of just being in a straight line the whole time. I'm still going to send it for a 4-star rating. Even though it's requested 5, I don't think it's quite that hard. 2 sends back to back in a row. Let's see if we can get a third. Pure by Aqua Blizz using Geoplex Enduring. Let's see. Pretty cool. A little bit basic, you know, at the top of the screen there's not that many details. It is very simple. You know, there's not many movements either. Let's see if this changes. Okay, there are a few movements with these spike blocks, but it's decent. The movements are a little bit patchy. There's some blocks that move while some don't, and there could be, you know, a bit of movement in the decorations too, because the movements that are there are quite patchy. As you can see, that block moved in without any proper easing, and I feel like the design is super basic, as well as the air decoration, and there's just completely undecorated spikes there too, which just doesn't really scream anything out to me. The designs are decent, and I kind of like this background that's got going on, this sort of pixel sort of spread, and yeah, it's just pretty basic. I don't really know if it's something I want to send, because it is very, very simple. There's not much to really fill in the space, you know. There's quite a lot of background visible at all times. Some parts have really lazy decorations, like the spikes aren't like fully decorated at all. The saws are pretty clear as well. You know, just random stuff that makes it just look a little bit boring. Well, this got rated before I could get to it. Great. AO by Nukiak. Let's see why this is rated. Oh, I really like the colouring on this. I'm sensing a blending screen, or a white mask as you call it, to colourize this. Lots of movement, some decent design and structures too. Nice flow between parts. This block design kind of clashes with the background, and I don't know why I've just died. But I see why this is rated. It's got a very nice colour scheme at all times. There could be a little bit more differentiation between that block design that we just saw in the ball section and the background maybe. Just because I felt like it clashed a little bit. I don't know, it's just quite similarly coloured. They're both really dark. Okay, I passed it this time. Oh, nice. This is really dynamic. It feels very bouncy and flowy, you know. It's got a very good feel to it, very good vibes. I'm liking the colour scheme. It's constantly changing. It's not just one singular repetitive colour scheme. And it's got the atmosphere there, right, as it's got a little break on the blocks in between. That was pretty cool. I'm not going to finish it because it is rated and I want to move on to some levels that aren't already rated. But I enjoyed that. Gone Immortal by SNT VTC. This is such a throwback song to 1.9. Ooh, let me go into practice mode for this before I forget. Super basic yet again. I do like the glow from that sun. It's not too overbearing and it does fill in the background pretty well. Those stars are kind of basic though. And here we've got some decent effects. Some reused blocks right here. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because when they move, they do leave big open spaces on the screen. And this is all quite messy, you know. These effects seem to be very patchy. And these block designs are very simple as well as spikes. Seems to be a 1.9 sort of throwback. With all the similar blocks that we used. With some extra effects on the screen. Okay, this is different to what I was expecting for the end part. Different styles are being used, kind of contradictory. I don't really know what this level's going for. It just seems a bit basic at all times without much purpose. We've got an attempt at a mask here which is quite weird. You see that background's super patchy and this mask is like really simple, which kind of just doesn't go hand in hand. But again, we've got the repeated style at the end that we had at the beginning. Links between the beginning and end. I just feel like the design could be improved at times, built upon in certain areas like the spikes. I feel like those links could have been built upon to make it a bit more significant, you know, because the theme could have been there, you know. You had the sun at the beginning and the moon at the end. That could have been progressive in the middle, but instead it was just filled with a bunch of random effects and it just felt a bit weird overall. I feel like I talk way too much in these videos. Like sometimes I finish a sentence and I'm gasping for air at the end because of how long I'm talking and I'm focusing so much trying not to stutter, you know. Lluvia de Esperanza by SNT VTC. Creo Shape of the Sun. Someone left a comment on my video a couple of weeks ago and they were laughing at my Spanish and I found that very offensive. So I think I pronounced that pretty well. This design is super patchy. You've got lots and lots of white usage. It just makes it look very clustered. And the background is also very clustered. It's a bit over decorated without much thought. It's got the potential because it's got the dark background. The dark background really helps because you can have low opacity details and high opacity details, which allows you to emphasize certain details. But this level hasn't really done that. It's just went for the more pasty sort of look with a lot of details. And this is super messy too. I didn't even press that dash orb and I'm still surviving. I see what it's going for with this whole like really fast sort of speedy sort of feel to the level, like you're flying through. But then it's a little bit laggy, as you can see on my... Oh no. I'm recording on my stream settings. Oh! Bruh, I always lag on my stream settings. God damn it. Why didn't I notice this until now? Oh, for goodness sake. Sorry about the quality. Alright, so I just realised I've been recording using my stream settings. I'm very sorry for that if it's a little bit lower quality for the other part of the video. But yeah, I think this level's just very messy. It's not very organised. All the details are super clustered. There's no real specific block design. It's just sort of spammed with a lot of different details and it just makes it feel a bit uncared for, you know? Well, I messed up this episode by A, recording on my stream settings, B, thinking I lost the recording because I ran out of space on my drive, even though I was looking at the wrong drive. Harbinger, I don't know how you say that word, don't kill me in the comments, please. Harbinger of Ruins by Erec B4. Oh my god. I have completely butchered everything about this level name and the creator. This has a lot of dark spaces that aren't filled very well. For example, the spaces underneath these rectangles. I know they have filler blocks underneath, but you can't tell they're there because everything is so dark. This overlay is super unforgiving for that. But I'm really liking the atmosphere it's creating in return. It does feel very nice. lots of highlights to sort of help this out, you know. You've got the spikes that are glowing, you've got the edges of the blocks that are glowing, you've got me dying, that's pretty cool. I kind of like this, even though the pulses could be a lot better since the song is very atmospheric. And I wish that there was a bit more detail instead of just the stars, because they're quite generic, you know. And there's also big long corridors like that that don't really fill up much space. I am quite enjoying this though. These pulses are a little bit better, but I would have liked to see a change in hue too, instead of it just being blue the whole time. But that was pretty solid overall, even if it was quite empty. It got the point across, it got the dramatic sort of feeling going pretty well. I like this. I'm going to give it a 5. Bang. I'm also going to beat it because this gameplay was pretty fun. Even if it was quite linear, I still quite enjoyed it and I want to play it without dying. Oh boy! Look at that. I'm such a pro gamer. One attempt. Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to another Geometry Dash video. I'm going to be going through the last of my DM requests in this video. I've been requested this twice. Wow. Wow, amazing. In the next video, I am going to be going through levels on the form. So make sure you request a level in the form. It'll be the top link in the description if you want your level played in the next video. Now we're going to be playing Japan Preview by Android GMD. I wish there was a bit more of a distinct colour scheme and the art could be worked in a little bit more to stop this empty space around here. And you don't really have to have that text in either. I feel like the text is kind of patchy. Doesn't really work, and it would be much better if there was actual details instead of just text. But this background's pretty nice. I'm liking the concept of those blossoms. I know it's very simple with just regular circles, but I think it's very well executed. And this block design's pretty cool too. Could be a bit more worked in with the background, maybe have some subtle glow behind just to sort of bring in that depth aspect. But this is pretty cool. I'm liking the concept going on here. And then it just goes to layout blocks. Pretty nice. I quite enjoyed looking at that. It was pretty cool. I'm going to move on to hopefully a fully fledged level here. I don't mind previews being requested, but I much prefer having like a full blown level so I can give much more like specific bits of feedback to improve. Wow, I thought that wasn't going to download there. We've got CZSK by Pizza Gamer. Cool atmosphere. A little bit repetitive in the beginning. Okay, we've brought in some design here. Also very basic. There's lots of dark spaces, and these arrows on the blocks look like spikes. But it's pretty cool. There's not that much consistent movement. You know, it's quite patchy at times. But yeah, it's got a good idea of what it's doing. I just feel like it could be a lot more developed to include a bit more detail here and there, just to fit this vibe a bit better, because this song has a lot of potential for such a dark level. You know, it could have a bit more extra details to make it like push it that little bit further. But this is pretty cool. This gameplay is also pretty decent. I'm not too sure why there's a bunch of names, but we're pretty about to find out. Nope, I thought it was going to say like Ultra Collab or something. There's kind of a lack of structures, and that makes it a little bit difficult to tell where to go, even if there's a bunch of dots everywhere. I still feel like it's a little bit unorganized in a way. What am I supposed to do? Drakegast, I recognize that name. He made Temple of Destiny. Whoa. Okay, this at least has a custom background that has a couple of details here and there, but it still feels super underwhelming, even if it's got a lot of bright pulses and movements, just because of the lack of details. It could definitely improve this level a lot. This is also super long. Like, geez, this is 33%. I feel like I've been playing for an eternity. Gameplay's a little bit buggy because I keep on missing stuff and surviving. Just could be very, very polished to include a lot more like different things just to make it a bit more interesting. And that dual swing copter is actually pretty well executed. I was about to say it's a bit weird, but I got past it quite easily. And it felt very natural to go through. Even if this isn't a regular game mode, I still feel like this concept that they've done with this like double swing copter is actually pretty well done. I'm gonna move on from this because I don't think it's changing at all. I think it's just reusing the same style over and over again, but it's definitely a demon. Pretty cool level, it's just not for me. My kind of levels are like the flashy ones with lots of different movements and stuff. I didn't even see what this level was called. I was too busy rushing in. Across by Omar GD. Pretty simple. There's very few details and this gameplay is very slow. And I feel like the blocks don't have enough detail, or they don't have an effect which is required to have gameplay like this, where you're staring at the same blocks over and over again. It should definitely have some sort of changing concept to it, you know, instead of it just being very basic. Is this the whole thing? I think this is the whole thing, just the slow gameplay like this. It's a decent concept. It could definitely work. Maybe not this slow, but I kind of like the enclosed feel. It could be some more visuals to fill in that empty space, but that was a pretty sweet level, you know. But if it wants to get rated, it should extend a little bit. It should have a bit more progression instead of it just being the same thing over and over again. And it should also fill the space. Spoof by Lund Shirk using Geoplex Subvert. I'm having a hard time reading today. Oh, very distinct scheme right here. You've got multiple tones of this grey. Kinda works, but I would prefer if it was to like introduce depth instead of just having random layers for the dark colours. But this isn't really a bad level. It lacks a little bit of detail. And I think the depth is what it's lacking because it does look very 2D, you know. It had potential with the multiple layers of squares in the background to create some nice depth, but don't think it does this. Feels kind of alive because there's a lot of pulses and movements here and there. It just kind of looks basic overall. There's a lot of bland spaces, and the spaces between parts just have really big blank sort of areas that aren't really filled. But it's actually pretty clean for the most part, even if it doesn't have that depth that I was looking for earlier. There's a lot of different styles too. It's very varied, and I wish there was a bit of colours just to sort of just intensify that, make certain areas feel more special instead of it just all being grayscale. We have so much variation, it's very difficult to make certain parts stand out, and I think colours could really help in that sense. So it's pretty cool, not something I'm going to send, but I quite enjoyed looking at it, you know. Am I dumb? It says, a level themed after Spoofy's rainbow style. Am I dumb? I swear that was black and white. Or am I just being really stupid? Wait, what? There was no colour in practice mode. Are you serious? Why was there no colour? What? Oh, well, I've just been absolutely debated by this level. Okay. Okay, I still think there could be a lot more depth introduced. And this part does look pretty empty and pretty awkward with these structures having big gaps underneath. And they're being so long without any variation in the design. Yeah, these colours are super saturated. I don't really like them. And they kind of contrast to the grey. It's not bad. It just could be a little bit more original, you know. There are a lot of variations, but again, I still feel like it's taking after Spoofy's style a little bit too much with these rainbows. Which I couldn't say earlier because apparently it was black and white for no reason. Some parts look the same. And there is still the grey usage. But yeah, it's just very awkward at times, even if the flow is pretty nice elsewhere. I still feel like certain parts stick out for being like lower quality than the good parts, you know? And there's quite a long outro too, that kind of takes away from the fast-paced vibe it's got going on. Right, moving on like I was going to before I realised that that level had colour. Drifting by GMD Persian. Decent atmosphere. I'm not sure if this this glow has blending, which could help it like achieve this bright look it's trying to go for with the outlines. But this has some decent atmosphere so far. Definitely an original look. I feel like there could be some sort of effect instead of just a very static sort of pillar background. And these blocks are super under detailed too. They could have some extra pieces to them, and also the glow on the bottom is kind of just basic. It doesn't really work with the ground spikes, but this is pretty cool. I think I've been showing this in a DM, I'm not too sure, but this is pretty nice so far. It's very wiggly. Nice music sync there too. I definitely recognize that. Oh, the practice music is glitched. Great. That's definitely due to an unticked trigger right there, which makes me think that this level is going to be quite short, and it's been tricked to be long. Something that I've done myself, actually, unticking the speed triggers so that the level appears long, but it was a pretty basic level. There wasn't really much to it, but the gameplay was pretty nice. Gonna go back through it just so I can get my final thoughts on it. Wow, I swear I clicked on that orb, but apparently not. Yes, thank you. It's cool. I don't know if I'm gonna send it though. I just think it's quite basic overall. Merrilund by GD Vesuvius using the Wanderer by Waterflame. Let's just go straight into this. Another XL. I think GD Vesuvius makes mini games, doesn't he? Yeah, he got PPAP rated the other day. I played this on my stream and it got rated the day after, even though I didn't send it. I put it in my later folder and I didn't actually get around to it yet. But let's just have a look at this. Okay, so you got to tap to change direction. Kill him. Yeah, let's go. So this is pretty cool. I like how it's not just a box sort of game. You've actually got an environment that you can move down in. Not gonna lie, mini games aren't really something I can critique, so I'm going to put this in my later folder. I'm going to play it off video, just so I can actually get a proper opinion of it, because it's quite long. There's quite a lot to go through, and I feel like there's going to be a lot more mechanics or some different like twists in it that I want to see for myself. Alright, I've just watched a video of this level. I'm going to give it a 7-star feature because I do think it's very interesting. It's a very unique concept, you know, how you've got to turn around with the same button that you use to walk forward, and then you've also got that attack sort of feature. So I do really like that. It was very interesting for a concept level, but we've got Gem Flow by Master XYZ using Chaos Airflow. These colours are very strange. I'm not sure about this white space that also cut into the blocks. Obscures the design a little bit too much. It's very interesting. All the colours I think use blending, which kind of just makes it super pearlescent, you know. There isn't really any set colours that really strike you. It's just sort of all mashing together. But we'll see what it has to offer at the drop. Could actually look pretty cool. But again, we've got this sort of basic block design with just glow on the edges. And there isn't really any ground spikes to sort of define the edges of the screen. And there's just a bunch of arrows to fill in the space. There's no like proper details. Everything's just mashed together in the hope to make it look filled. Let's see. You can slide. Okay, this is vibey, how you've got a searchlight. I like how you can still see the blocks with the invisible blocks, you know. Kind of helps. Just kind of contrasts to the rest of the level, you know. And there's not really any set details. Alright, so there wasn't really much to it. It's for the Crystal Gauntlet. I did notice that this was a 3.6 ID. Not something I'm going to send because it all was mashed together. But that brings us to the end of the DM request series. Next time we're going to be doing the form request, which is going to be absolutely insane. There's already a lot of levels on the form. I can't wait to do that. Leave your levels in the form in the description. I'll get to them if I can in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Have a good day.